All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Media Boss Live. I am Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I am happy to have you here. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is Media Boss Live. This is different than the Media Boss podcast. This is a live stream. We are live right now, and I want to welcome you all here. I am Barrett Matthews, as I mentioned, and what I do is I use media to make sure that people can get their voices heard. And I mainly focus on the area of retired CEOs or people in the C-suite who may want to get their voices out. Well, today I'm bringing a friend of mine, a newly found friend, but I feel real close to her. So because we've talked to each other. I've been a guest on her show. She has a fantastic TV show, and I think you guys need to check it out. We're going to talk about that. But she does some great work, and what she does is she uses her light to help others shine, and I love that about her. So what I want to do without any further ado, because we don't have a lot of time, is I want to bring to you guys Dr. Euvonka Farabee. Dr. Euvonka, how are you today?
Woo, good. How are you?
I am doing marvelously well and improving, and I am glad to have you here today. Like I said, we just met, but it seems like we've known each other longer.
I know, right? We've done quite a bit in a very short period of time.
Right? We have, right? We have, but
Mhm.
but we can talk about what we've done. But I want to talk about the things that you have done because you, as a child of God, have done a lot of great work in helping people and serving people in His name, and I just think that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. Oh, guys, if y'all were tuning in thinking I wasn't going to talk about God, you got the wrong place. I have no problem talking about that. I am not ashamed because if I'm ashamed of him, he's
All
ashamed of me.
right.
So now, but back to Dr. Ivanka. So if you don't mind, because you also empower people, and I don't want to gloss over that because you're an empowerment coach, which is also God sent that you're able to do that. So I want to let you talk about that. Please take a second, if you will, and just tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'll do it in a nutshell. My name is Dr. Euvonka Farabee. I am a life empowerment coach. I am a prison chaplain. I'm an author of books. So there's quite a few things. I'm a television show host. Even though these are a lot of things, they all kind of have an interwoven thread together, and they work in different aspects. So, as a coach, I help primarily women. Men, I do accountability coaching, I've done before, but primarily women who find themselves, they're stuck in one place and they know God has more for them, but they don't know how they're going to transition. One popular client type that I have is someone that may be in corporate America and they built this whole life around a certain income, a certain profession. They have all of these, they have house notes, they have car notes, they have kids in private school. They have all these things going on, but they know, and their life is great. It's not necessarily a problematic life, and they're grateful, but they know God has something different or more for them, but they have no idea how that's ever going to happen before before they retire because they're responsible for so much. I help women make that plans for that transition and also look at the roadblocks, things that may be stopping them. There may be just some mindset things around the fact that they think that they can't do anything different because they don't have time, or they don't know how they're ever going to survive because they make a certain income, and the thing that they love to do, they may perceive it as something that doesn't pay very much. So we look at all of these aspects of things that may block someone from moving forward. We deal with them, and then we move forward, and we utilize all different type of tools. I use narration and tools to do it. I have a 12-week coaching a course that I facilitate is called Rewrite Your Life Story. That basically you take something that has been hindering you, that that's been hindering you. We take a look at it. We use a variety of exercises to rewrite that and leverage it for even future success, because God will use even our past to not only overcome the past, but use it as a tool to leverage for future success and future gain. So I help women to do that. And then I also have a nonprofit called Beyond the Shackles. And I instill, well, we instill hope in the incarcerated, disenfranchised, and their families. So, as a prison chaplain, I have volunteers that go and facilitate courses inside the prison for inmates. I also do missions trips. I just got back in February. I got back from Kenya and from Cameroon. I've also recently, at the end of 2023, I went to Uganda. And so there's a variety of things that we're doing with the populations there. I just trained a group in Cameroon for prison ministry and I went into a prison in Cameroon and I trained them to do prison ministry. That prison did not have any type of resource like that before. Now they have started to go in on a regular basis, and I'm doing future trainings because the plan is to go inside prison in Nairobi, Kenya, as well as some other places.
Wow. And look, I'm just mad that we only have a short period of time to talk about this. 'Cause you, I should have asked, what aren't you doing? Because you are, my goodness, do you sleep?
You know what? I do, and it's very interesting. As much, I'm just very organized. You have to be
Good,
very
good.
organized, and then your people have to come. I have my tribe of people that help me in those areas. I have a whole team in Cameroon
Hmm.
that that just mobilize and they do
That's
these things.
wonderful.
So.
I mean,
Mhm.
just listening to that, I'm like, God, I got so many questions. But wow, I'm just because. So, first of all, you did a great job of outlining the people you serve, the women that you serve, and
Mhm.
or as we know, the whole Mars Venus thing is different communicating with men than it is with women. Women
Yes.
are more, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that women would be more open to talking to you about what trials and what troubles they're dealing with, so that you can figure out how to serve them. Where with men, it's kind of like pulling teeth. Am I correct in
You
that
know,
assessment?
you're correct, particularly with coaching, which is why I typically don't coach men unless it's just for
I understand.
accountability. Like they need a taskmaster, so I can do that. But if it's anything that's asking qualifying questions in terms of anything that will bring up limiting beliefs, anything, it just depends. But a lot of times, men, they kind of, they get like, "Woo, I didn't know we were going there."
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
Hey, wait a minute. So it's
Because
a challenge.
with men don't want to show that vulnerability.
Exactly. So
And
they may need
especially they
another
don't want
man
to
to
do it
coach
around a
them.
woman. They don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable doing that. That's why I was just curious, because when you said that who you work with, I said, wow, that's a great market. And the thing is, your market, and it's easy for you
Yeah.
to help them because you are actually getting them to tell you what their issues are. So I think that's wonderful.
Now, with it's interesting, prison ministry is the exact opposite. I work with
Mm,
99.9% men.
really?
In that, yes, I do work with female incarcerated women, but my opportunities have just for the last several years, probably since 2015, have primarily been in maximum security prisons with men, as well as with federal prisons in medium security.
Wow. So in that case, how receptive are the men to the prison ministry? Because I know the ministry is a little different than having them to as coaching them. But how receptive are the men to that?
They're extremely receptive because what
Good.
I found with prison, they you really need the balance of men and women in anything in life. You have to have them both. They're both necessary. And in prison, what happens? You have women who are in prison, in terms of who are they're authority figures. They're usually officers. They're correctional officers. So that's a different capacity
Yeah.
when you're talking about ministry to have when you bring a female element into that, just the presence of a woman that is administering the gospel or doing course facilitation, and it's not even like a romantic thing. It is a
Of
really,
course.
sometimes it's a motherly thing. Sometimes it's such a balance of the feminine that is needed in that environment that they don't get unless it
Yes.
comes from the outside and unless it comes from very specific circumstances, such as a course that they're taking that is a ministerial course or something like that. So those things become very important, and the men are very receptive to it. They get a lot from it. And I have even I have some wonderful success stories of men that have seen grown over the years behind bars, and
Uh-huh.
they're out now after serving, over 20 years in
Right.
prison, almost 30 years. They're doing great things in ministry. One works for a law firm that I
Amen.
know about. Two of my guys now have a job where they go into juvenile correctional centers
Mm.
and they work with the youth because they come obviously from a different vantage point. They have an
Yeah.
understanding,
Yeah.
so it's they are doing some amazing things.
That's a wonderful thing because I mean that just shows how God worked through you to get them there, and I love that.
Hmm.
That look as a great story, like you were just saying, some real situations that have happened out of that. And
Hmm.
it's a blessing. So you also now you're an author too. Tell me about your book.
I have a book called From Golden Handcuffs to Divine Purpose, and that book was born. It's really my business testimony. So the net of it is I was a part of corporate America, and the reason that I eventually ended up getting into coaching is because I was so out of place in every job that I had in corporate America because it never was me. I
Hmm.
did it. And then you become dependent because you earning six figures in many cases. I ended up in sales organizations, which was a better fit for me because I started off in engineering. And let me tell you, I'm no engineer. I'm just going to tell you that. Somehow I ended up there and I was just trying to thug it out. But
Check it
I
out.
even ended up getting promoted in that organization to manage a team of 11 just to get me out of the lab because I was more effective with the encouragement and the management of projects and people.
Hmm.
So, and it wasn't because I was such a great engineer. Let's promote her. They were like, we finally got somebody that know, they're not people, persons over there,
Yeah.
And so I went to the sales organization, and that was better. It was better, but still not it. I went into pharmaceutical sales, making great money, but I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I would not take because I had pressure from my family. Everybody was like, "Why would you ever give up what you're doing to do something crazy like going into business?" So I never had a plan for my life, and I just stuck with that status quo, that mediocrity. And when 2008 came, the economy crashed, and I no longer had to make a decision; it was made for me.
It was
So I
made for you.
lost that six-figure job I thought I couldn't live without. I lost that. And, I was married at the time. That buckled under the weight. It was already a volatile situation. And so that
Mhm.
was it for that. And so I went into a business. I opened an insurance agency from scratch, which was crazy, but I did it
Good for you.
because I'm like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to do this. And this is a great industry. Well, also was not the plan of God for me. So it was 7 years of
Oh wow.
toil and struggle until I finally had to close it. Just I had no choice. I'd laid off all my employees. I didn't have any other options. I had no plan for my life. I
Hmm.
was actually out of money. My severance, my retirement
Wow.
was
Yeah.
everything was gone, and I literally was facing eviction in both of my locations, in my business
Mm.
location and then the place where I lived. And so I basically, after being broken down to that place, that's where God was finally able to speak to me and have me go into look into prison ministry. I was able to kind of pick up the pieces and do some things where I had some flexibility to schedule. But when I went into prison ministry, that is where I found it completely changed my life. And I would have never even considered it because I had a brother that was in and out of the penal system.
Hmm.
Uh, growing up, he had a drug problem, and it was a challenge, and I really didn't come to terms with anything. I had such a hard relationship with him. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
difficult. You have a
Yeah.
family member who is a substance with substance abuse. You
Hmm.
can't really have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
So when he passed away, it's been about 10 years ago. He was able to come off the drugs, but he would start off as a teen alcoholic, and he never could really get past the alcohol. So he had some
Mm.
health complications where he passed away. But after he passed away, I really thought when the Lord was speaking to me about looking into prison ministry, I never wanted to go in. So I said, I'm going to make plans for people. I'm going to use my resources and see what did people like my brother need that I could help them get. What kind of connections do they need? Do they know how to get their driver's license when they get out? How are they going to get their health care? I was
Mm.
looking at all these reentry plans, but God would have it. I ended up getting thrown in a situation where I went to work for a nonprofit organization
Yeah.
for prison ministry full time, and that's how I ended up. I went my first time working inside a prison was inside of a maximum security
Oh,
level 4 prison, and when I tell you it was the best thing ever, I never thought in a million years God just had it so that I just love those men, and I was able
that
to manage the volunteers to really help to develop what I have going today.
it's great because we never know how God's gonna use us, and
Mhm.
that's wonderful. And you're bringing light to a dark situation for a whole lot
Mhm.
of people, and I want to commend you for that. Now, another thing that you do, you as you mentioned earlier, you're a TV host, and
Yes,
you were gracious enough to ask me to put this mug on your TV on your TV
it
show.
was a great show. It
Well,
was a
hey, I
great
thank
show.
you for that. I thank you.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make sure I get more people to watch it. That's why I got you here too, because I want to get
Yeah,
more people to watch your show as well. So I want you,
yes.
if you would, to share a little bit about your show.
So my show is called Beyond the Shackles, like my ministry, and I initially started off to instill hope in the incarcerated, disenfranchised, and their families, just like my ministry. So I wanted to give a platform for people who had overcome the adversity of incarceration and the challenges, and to talk about the challenges and how they have pressed through, and so that there's a positive light on people who have served in a prison so that they don't. It's a way of enlightening the world so that there's not so much suffering of what they call the second prison. So when people get out of prison and they've served their time, there's all the stigma attached to them that make their life, 10 times harder when they've already served their time.
Mm,
So I wanted people to have a positive view to see how people could have families that and they could have gainful employment and start businesses and do great things in the world and reach back and help. So I wanted that platform. But what I found out very quickly
hmm.
after starting the show is that, and I say this at the top of every show, is that you don't have to be behind physical bars to be in shackles in your heart and your mind.
Ooh.
So I opened it up to anyone who helped dispel limiting beliefs, anyone who helped someone do in life transitions, like for instance with yourself, helping the CEOs to come out and have a new way of fulfilling their purpose outside of the role that they may have had over the last who
Hmm.
knows how long, 30, 40 years or
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
that they have a life where they can really give back and do what what they're passionate about and use their gifts and talents. So, a show like that is something that is very beneficial to the audience at the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network. There are many people out there that may be looking at that. When I coach, I get people all the time that's like, I can't think about what I'm going to do. I got these kids. I got to get through college. Or, I'm going to wait. I'm going to retire in 2 years. So then I'm going to think about my life. And that is some of the biggest mistake in both those scenarios ever, because anything can happen that will change the trajectory of your life in a nanosecond that you have no control over. You can get a pink slip from a job that you've been on for who knows how long. I remember when I was in my 20s, I witnessed a lady who was a week from her 40th anniversary when the company we were working for laid her off so she wouldn't get the lion's share of her pension.
Yeah.
I that
Yeah.
that never left me.
Huh.
That never left me. So even if you're not going to move in an instant on a hope or a dream that you might have for yourself, it is important to be intentional about the planning of your life, because you never know how God is going to open up things for you because you've been intentional and you have plans to pivot from. The problem I had is I had no plans to pivot from.
Mm.
And now, because when you can pivot, I mean, I have another testimony in that same layoff situation. There was a man who had a classic car business who we knew that was his hobby. He did it on the weekends. He made some money. He loved classic cars. He always had the magazines, the whole nine. When he got laid off, it was a relief for him, because what we didn't know is that he and his wife had business plans. They didn't know how they would ever, because of the money it would take. He took his
Mm.
severance and he went full time in the classic car restoration business. And a year and a half later, his wife was able to join him. He
Oh,
didn't know that layoff was going to happen, but he had
wow.
plans. He had dreams
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
intention. We have to be intentional about our lives. So that's something that I help people do with my Rewrite Your Life Story. It helps people to mold and shape whatever it is God has put in their heart, and to help them come up with plans so that they can either move forward in that time frame that they want to do it, or even if it's for the future and they're not sure, they have to start thinking about what it is. What do I value? What are my values? What is it that I want for myself, even for my family? What kind of legacy do I want to live for myself? How do I take the current dream and the legacy that I want to leave, and how do I make it global? That's one of the reasons both of us are part of the Great Discovery, is to
Hmm.
help people to take their vision and their dreams global.
Yes.
And we remove the barrier of language, because, as you know, we can translate whatever the courses or the messages that people have at, into up over 100 languages, and it keeps their passion, it keeps their tonality, it keeps all everything that is about them, that is authentic. It remains, but they're able to be translated into other languages for a very reasonable money. You can't do it outside of that platform for anything like what is offered. So there are a variety of ways that help people eliminate every obstacle that they might have to be able to live the hopes and their dreams that they desire.
And I love that. And I thank you, because I was going to segue from that into the Great Discovery. So that was good. You went there. You're
Mhm.
reading my mind there. I like that. But it's interesting because, I work in media, and when I saw the Great Discovery, I'm like, well, hmm, this is a way to get more media in more
Mhm.
places. And you didn't know this, but my slogan is "Be everywhere all at once." So
Okay,
yeah.
great.
So the Great Discovery was like, well, duh.
Uh-huh.
It's
That's how
right
you
there.
can be everywhere all at
Be
once.
everywhere all at once, and in their language. So so
Yes.
now I wanna ask you, because like I was just mentioning everyone. The Great Discovery is a platform where you're able, if you're a content creator, as Dr. Ivanka and I are, if you're a content creator, if you have a course, even if you don't have a course, but you've wanted to do a course but don't know how, the Great Discovery is something that you definitely want to take a look at. I'll definitely share information with you in the chat. But I want I want to just talk about that with Dr. Ivanka, because first of all, let me say publicly live here, you do an excellent presentation on
Thank you.
on what the Great Discovery is. I watch your presentation. I'm like, man, she has a great delivery on how she explains this to people. So I just wanted to
Mhm.
say that publicly to you, because you do an excellent job of it. I really mean that sincerely.
Thank you so much. And if anybody does want to listen to that presentation, I'm every Monday and Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific time. What is that? 8:30 Central time, 9:30
Yeah.
Eastern time.
Mhm.
And you
And
go
I have
to
had people do that, because that
mhm,
sometimes they can't make the morning one or the afternoon one because they have a 9 to 5 on the East Coast.
yeah.
Well, they
Hmm.
can do that. And see, here's the great thing about it for those of you who think, well, I don't have time. See, here, let me explain something to you. And I say this to people all the time. I learned this a long time ago. The word presentation makes people think it's long.
30 minutes.
30 minutes or
Hmm.
less. So, so I mean, really, by the time you get to 30, she's answering questions. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and you could duck out by that time. That's just for people. And
right,
sometimes we just hang out and support each other.
exactly. So,
We were on. As a matter of fact, we were on Wednesday. I don't know what time we got off. I told everybody, people, you're free to go. But we was having so much fun. We were having such a good time just supporting one another and talking about things. It was great.
and it is great. And what's also great about it is what you see right here, the relationships that we form. Because we're
Hmm.
all content creators, we're all looking to get our message out, we're all looking to share with people. And see, the one thing that you have to understand, we're all affiliates for each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I
Absolutely.
see Dr. Ivanka's course up there, I can recommend it to you out there, and tell you to listen to a course. It could be something that's $5, but the thing is that I get a portion of that because I'm an affiliate. If you buy something later on from someone else because of that, I get a portion of that. And guess what? You can have that same scenario. You come on aboard the Great Discovery, you recommend something. It could be something free, And if that person later on buys a course from someone else, you get paid off of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great situation so that you can earn money. We have people who've earned. I'm not going into the dollars. We've had people who've earned some comma figures. I'll put.
Yeah, yeah, and we've just launched since March 15th. Although it's been 9 years in development, it's really an amazing opportunity. I haven't seen anything
Very
like
much
it,
so.
and I haven't experienced anything like the people that I've met there. It's been the most amazing time of networking and meeting like-minded people who are positive, and we all just
Positive,
want to see each other win.
and you see people from how do I don't know how to best to put this. I have people from different sectors come together, and what I mean by that is, but they all have something in common. And a lot of the people I know they come out that I come in common with the Great Discovery is that they're very spiritual people, and
Hmm.
it's funny because Dr. Breakthrough, who I have interviewed on Media Boss Live, and he talked about the Great Discovery. Well, he introduced me to it months ago, before the new year came in, and
Hmm.
I didn't do it then. But I was on a networking call. I can't remember which one it was, a couple months ago, and someone mentioned it to me, and I said, I'm sure that's what Dr. Breakthrough was talking about. Then my friend Alex hit. I know Alex from YouTube training, LinkedIn training. And Alex said he was doing something, presentation. I said, "Oh, well, let me see what he's talking about." I just knew it was about YouTube. I knew it was about YouTube, and it happened to be about the Great Discovery. And who else was on there? Dr. Breakthrough. I said, "That's it.
Yeah,
I got the message, Lord." And that's what
I
I
know.
said.
Right, right.
I said, I'm getting on. I messaged Dr. Breakthrough in that meeting, and I said, I'm coming on board with you right now. So let's get it started, because I said I don't need to be hit on the head enough that many times for me to realize that this is something I need to do, especially
Hmm.
since it goes right in line with my message. Now, I want to get back to you real quick. Your TV show.
Hmm.
Where can people find it?
At hsbn.tv. So HSBN stands for the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network. hsbn.tv. We're in 190 countries, all over. As a matter of fact, the owner of the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network, he also just signed up for the Great Discovery as well, because he wants to reach another audience and have that available to broadcasters that are there. But if you go there and you go to and you click on demand, you can scroll right down to Beyond the Shackles. You'll see my picture and with the name, and then you can see my whole catalog of shows.
Good. That's what I wanted to make sure we got that in there, because
Hmm.
because I want to make sure people do support her show and get the message that you need out of it as well. It's the Holy Spirit
Yeah,
Broadcast Network, so you want to make sure that you are getting something that your soul needs out of it as well.
I've
So
done some amazing interviews on there,
I know you
and just
have. You had
great
me on.
great test. Oh, of course.
But no, I was just playing. But the thing is, I just want to let you know I appreciate you, and I'm glad you were able to come on Media Boss Live today. Is there anything
Yeah.
lastly that you would like to say to the audience before we end here?
I just like to let people know if they are interested in talking to me further, they can go to my website, which is www.liveshacklefree, liveshacklefree.com. You can email me at info@liveshacklefree.com. And just if you have any questions, if you want to talk to me about any coaching opportunities, any speaking opportunities. I also do speaking engagements as well. I would be glad to talk to you.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. Dr. Ivanka, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Media Boss Live, and I'm looking forward to us growing our businesses together and growing our spirits together too. So thank you so
Yes,
much. But
absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. You're the
oh, no
greatest.
problem. I appreciate you, and God bless. And everybody, you have a great day, and we'll see you soon on the next Media Boss Live.